The rhythm, the pattern of a repeated cycle. You know the lather, rinse, repeat, right? You know it. Lather, rinse, repeat. You can get there. Lather, rinse, repeat. The pattern of a repeated cycle. Consistent experience of output, what you're putting out into the universe, what you're putting out into the world, and reward. I think the easiest way to look at this would be going to work and getting a consistent paycheck. Right? You know what's expected of you. You know what the experience of output is, and you know what then the reward is. You're going to get a paycheck. Beautiful. So for those of us that are entrepreneurs, it's different. It's completely different. It's based on your ability to show up for yourself. The growth of your business, the reflection of your business, the reflection of your client base is a reflection of your inner personal dynamics. This was something that I witnessed firsthand experience in the first mastermind program that I was in. I told you that my first year of growing my business was BNI meetings, networking to no avail, because nobody wants to listen to a 26-year-old psychic telling them how to live their life. But let me tell you, I was still good at it then, and I'm still good at it now. But there's like an age gap thing that was happening, so it just wasn't working. I had no clue how to run a business. I got my degree in psychology. I went to my clairvoyant school. I had worked at a winery where I actually feel like I got really good at speaking in front of people because I was a vineyard tour guide and host. I learned more at that job than I think I learned at getting my degree. It was absolutely incredible. But still, from all that experience, there was no, okay, so this is how you run a business. There was no, okay, this is how you get clients. There was no structure fed to me about that at all. So I had met a guy, and for some reason, I tried to think of this story the other day, and I cannot remember for the life of me how I actually met him. Oh my gosh, I totally do. It just came to me. It was at that William Meter event where I saw the hologram. Has anyone here ever witnessed the hologram? Okay, 1, 2. It's trippy, right? I literally thought I was going to blow up. I thought I was going to just pop out of my body, and all of a sudden, was going to happen. And the second that fear hit, the hologram stopped. It was like instantaneous. But what I'm talking about is that when I was watching this guy speak on stage, I literally watched this. It was kind of like matrixy and challenging to describe, but it was like I saw the multiple dimensions of space and time between he and I, as there was not really like a connection between he and I, but there was something about his energy that triggered that awareness in me. And it was the first time that I witnessed it. So I met this guy who was probably like the only other cute boy around my age because everyone else was like 20 years older. So naturally we're like, what's up? So I meet him. We end up being friends, keep in touch through Facebook. Really just like genuine human being. And I saw that he was connected through the conscious marketer. Last I heard he was doing construction. So I'm like, what's this conscious marketer thing you're doing? And so he told me, and I ended up getting connected with my first business coach. And on that first call, I literally was just like talking to a guy to get some information. On that first call, he told me about his $25,000 program where he helps small business conscious entrepreneurs how to grow their business into 6 figures in a year. I'm like, sounds like a plan. Sign me up. I'm in. So I had no idea how I was going to pay. I was living at my grandma's house. I really did not have very much money at all. I think she was still like helping me out with groceries. And everything that I had, I was reinvesting into making flyers to put at coffee shops to go into my business. So I'm like, how in the heck is this going to work? Like, how? Tell me. And I sat in meditation because I'm like, look, I need to think about this. I want to say yes, but I really just got to sit and figure out if this is what's for me. And I sat. The very first thing that came to me was, Samantha, this is your destiny. Okay, well, that is a big deal. Like, never heard that combination of words or seen that on my reading screen in meditation before. And then instantly right after that, monkey mind. How am I going to pay for it? What if I fail? What if blah, 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 all the other stuff that I'm sure I don't need to repeat because you've already thought about it yourself. So I decided to take out a loan. I decided to take out a chance. I decided that I didn't tell anybody about it except for my grandma, because I'm like, I'm going to have to live at your house for a little bit longer because this is my plan to take over the world. Yeah, I do still giggle like that every week, at least. But so I told her, and I told my sister, who's a financial advisor. I didn't tell anybody else because I didn't want anybody else's money story to get my way. I didn't want anybody else to be like, oh, and I actually did tell a couple people, and they told me absolutely not, which I was like, okay, well, we're not going to talk to you about it anymore. And I decided to sign up. I decided to join. I decided to take out my own loan because then it was skin off of my back, and if I was going to fail, it was going to be on me. And worst case scenario, my grandma would have a roommate for a little bit longer, which she loves or something. I look at my cousin because we've both been her roommate before. It's great. She's wonderful. But I'm bringing this story up in the sense of rhythm and why I have learned that the interpersonal dynamic of being in the rhythm and being in the flow has everything to do with what you're manifesting outside. If your interpersonal world is not going right, if your interpersonal dynamics, if your relationship with yourself starts getting off kilter, if anxiety starts happening because it isn't right, these things will show up. Now, for me, when I was in this mastermind program, I was able to build my business from literally not having much money at all to within 9 months, I had my first $70,000 month. Literally $70,000 in my bank account that scared the shit out of me. So I was like, what do I do with this? Like, oh my gosh. Like, I also had no training or idea of what to do with money once I got it because I never had any. I was always comfortably $700 in debt. Most of you have heard that story. I was like, oh, $700, I can just pay that off. Extra $200, I'm like, oh, good, I have another $200 to spend on my credit card. That was where I like comfortably lived for a really long time. So all of these things started happening, but mind you, I was one of the youngest ones in that group, and I had been at the game much. I didn't know what a webinar was. I didn't know what an opt-in was. I didn't know what an email list was. I didn't know any of these things about growing an internet business. These people were like dropping names of people who had been in the business for a long time, people who had made millions of dollars, like all these things. I'm like, holy, I am the small fry here. I have no clue what's going on. And so it was really interesting, and yet I was the one that experienced the most success in that year. And I can say that confidently because I know that we were all sharing our wins, our losses, our gains, our momentum, all of these things. So I looked at why was it that I was able to do that and they weren't, and they'd been doing it for years. Why was that? High risk. I don't like taking no for an answer. I have an issue with authority, even including my own. I am super competitive. I like to challenge myself and challenge myself against others in what I like to consider a healthy way, because for me, I was seeing my mentor and I was seeing where he was falling into error, which I now take very dear to heart, because in the times where I felt that he absolutely was not there when I felt I needed him, and I had paid him X amount of dollars, so like I that was there. I learned to stand on my own 2 feet and figure it out. There was no enabling, but I was not going to fail. For me, the combination of those is the rhythm. For me, the combination of having tension and strife, a little bit of tension, enough to like pull the rubber band. You can't shoot a rubber band without tension, right? You can't make that leeway without tension. Tension is different than resistance, but tension enough that there's discomfort to pull you out of where you're at. You are not going to make momentum happen if you are so comfortable with where you're at. It's just not going to happen. You can still stay comfortably in ribbon with consistent experience of output and reward. You can stay there. But what I'm talking about here with rhythm is to continue to build on your successes, to continue to build on what it is that you are creating, and to continue to learn in that cycle of rhythm. So when have you found that rhythm in your life? And is it possible for you to go back to that frequency? Like, look at what the combination was for you, because it's different for everybody. What worked for me is going to be different for you. I can tell you that right now. I can also tell you that I do attract people who resonate with that. So it might be. But looking at that lather, rinse, repeat, as I mentioned before, you can never go back to where you were before, right? So even as we look at this, you are not going to go back to where you were before, but you can go back to the feeling of what that rhythm felt like. Are you following me? It's the feeling. It's not the action. It could be completely different business, completely different career change, completely different relationship, doesn't matter. But it's the feeling that you had when you were in that rhythm. The feeling is what we're going for.